news. We're going to talk about some presidents today. We're going to talk about some current events. And we're just going to keep going on our show and hope that it reaches as many people as it possibly can. In Jesus' name, amen. So awesome, guys. Yeah, like I said, Kevin will be back here in just a second. But so cool. Love doing this version of the show because it's a little bit more kind of spontaneous. You know, we get to just talk about things that we enjoy. Me and Kevin are big history buffs. And, so today we're going to talk about Rutherford B. Hayes. The president came right after Grant. So this is right after kind of the Civil War period, and pretty excited to talk about that. Let's see. The Nashville Predators play on Thursday. And let's see if I got anybody on our live stream here. Yes. So let's see. So I guess we'll do Dixie Fieldhouse, right? Let's see. Oklahoma beat Florida last night in the softball championship. And let's see. NBA Finals coming up. And let's see. Hi, ladies. Hi, we're about to do a show. So, April, what's going on? Oh, 22 shot. Yeah. 22 gun salute. All right. Just go ahead and do it. Yeah. Phyllis, we love you. Phyllis, give us the weather or something. We need you here. I think I might hear somebody coming back. I know. I don't know. I can do my own show. I could talk about sports, but I don't know. Here I am. Here I am to worship. Here I am to bow. Thanks, Mark. Sorry,
you sit and you wait on the phone for 30 minutes to talk to the government, and then so you're just thankful when you finally get through. So I had to finish up that call, only to find out.
This is Jerry's doing something.
Only to find out that I don't have all the information they need to figure out what's wrong with what they did. I don't know what's happening. Hey, well, welcome. Ooh. We even have a theme song, a temporary theme song for this morning's AM Kevin show. Roll it. Welcome to the AM Kevin Show with Marshall and Kevin. It's a sunshiny day. Rain clouds rolling away. It's always a sunshiny day with the S-O-N, the Son Jesus. That's right.
You know, Phyllis is 111 in Fort Mojave.
It's 111?
That's a sunshiny day, isn't it?
I guess it's a sunshiny day, 111. Whew. Whew, yeah, I don't like that dry heat anyway. Of course, I was raised in Florida with humidity heat. So we could get to 100 and we're just sweating and stuff. There you're just like, like a dry sauna.
People say it's better, but when I went to Nevada, it didn't seem better.
I don't care for it. But, to each his own, you know. So I'm sure Phyllis enjoys that a lot better. A lot of people can't stand humidity and they go crazy, but I kind of like it. Some people like, Justin, he says, I don't like the heat. I like it when it's cold. Like, you do? Because but then when it's cold, I think he complains too.
Right,
so he's just one of those guys that loves to complain. Anyway, it is a sunshiny day. It's a beautiful day. It's always a beautiful day with the Lord Jesus. And so we got a great day today. What I want to do is Prince Ivan left one of their CDs.
They were awesome.
First one that will give the first amount, whatever it is. I don't care if it's 10 cents, whatever you want to give. We're going to send it to you. Let us know right now. You want Prince Ivan? Those who saw it yesterday will want Prince Ivan. It's really good. I was listening to it today. It just jams. They have some, it's just like, there's some love songs, you know, so it's not overtly, but it's like gospel, but it has some really good gospel leanings and stuff. It's really good. Because the first couple songs, Love Beat and Dance Pants, there's nothing that remotely spiritual about it, but they're just good songs. And so
Dance Pants, huh?
Yeah. This is their EP. Okay. EP means they're just cheap, and they didn't do 10 songs. No, but EP.
What does that stand? Because I know I've heard of LP.
EP, that's long playing. EP stands for an extended play, which so these are extended songs. It's just a stupid play on words. It means nothing. It means that they just did half of an album, but they charge the same. But I'm going to give it to you for the first one. They'll send in some money. Let us know. for whatever it is, and you get the Prince Ivan. Boom. Tomorrow, Philip Hicks is going to be. I cannot wait. Just the title. Doesn't that sound cool?
Yeah.
The Cross and 357 and the 357 Magnum. This guy, but he's funny. He's a comedian. He's done like clown work. He does kids things, but he also is an evangelist that travels and has a great testimony here. I mean, some of these people that have given him, Merlin Carruthers, Chuck Colson, they have all Glenn Cole. I know Pastor Glenn Cole from California. They've all given him references and highly recommend this book. So we'll talk about that. He'll be here tomorrow. He's tomorrow Thursday.
Yes.
Am I driving?
Am I driving?
But today on the Kevin Shore Show, you want to stay tuned. Heaven's Heart's coming back. They're going to sing a couple songs, and we have folks that are part of the crusade to bring people to God in America, and it's called the Rally to the Cross group, and so they're here, and so Greg Quinn's here today. So that's going to be a great day. It's a sunshiny day. You would think I'd had my coffee or something.
Apparently.
No, instead it's essential energy, which that's not it, but anyway, it's there. Essential energy. You got to get your essential energy every day. You won't need your coffee, Jerry. But speaking of coffee, the USA is now for sure the #1 coffee market in the world.
Nice.
Yes, but the world is being influenced by America. With
Okay.
this, the success, it says, of Starbucks and those kind of coffees, it's influenced. There was 29 countries that regularly drank coffee. Now they say there was 144 countries
Wow.
since Starbucks opened or around that time. There's 144 countries that now import coffee from around the world. You know, the coffee beans actually come from 20 different countries. You know, so they're coming from all South America, Central America, Africa, whatever. They come from all the different parts of the world, 20 different countries to all of the world, and but most of it comes into like billions of coffee beans come to America.
Interesting.
We're the #1 coffee market in the world.
Huh.
It's like America is the greatest country in the world, no
Yeah.
doubt. I've been through most of the world, most of the countries. I've never been to the continent of Australia or China or Asia.
Okay.
No, not Asia, but Eastern Europe, Europe.
Well, yeah,
all
you
of
have.
that.
You've been to Russia. That's Asia, technically.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought that was still Eastern Europe. That's what they call it.
There is parts of Russia that isn't. It's only a country in 2 continents.
I have been right to the border thing of like, it was not Uzbekistan. I was in Kazakhstan. No, I was in something stan.
Gotcha.
So
Well, that's
I-
Asia too.
That's
yeah.
Asia. So I guess parts of Asia,
Gotcha.
but not China.
Yeah.
My daughter's going to China. She's received the mission.
Yeah.
She's going this year to China.
China.
Yay! Yeah. And but in all of Europe and you know Caribbean stuff like that, but not South America.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it just seems like I've been enough around the world to know that this is still the greatest country on earth. And most of the world really feels that way. You know, forget what the government leaders and different people say and how politics go and there's wars and all that. People in these countries that live in these countries love America. They really do. I've been to Russia where they hug and kiss on you because you're American. You know, this is American. Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse and back when I went, Michael Jordan. Everybody loved Michael Jordan. And Mickey Mouse and what else do they like? I don't know. I used to say the 3 M's. They like Mickey Mouse, Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan. That was it.
I thought you were gonna say
and
McDonald's.
MTV, huh?
I thought you were gonna say McDonald's.
They do have them
Yeah.
there, but yeah. And they're pretty good actually there, especially if you've had enough borscht for a while, you're ready to have, a raw peas and lard. Their breakfast consists some breakfasts they would serve you always caviar. You get caviar, you get fish eggs. you know. If you get an egg, it's not a cooked egg,
Okay.
not a raw egg, but a boiled egg, and you get either a piece of fish, smoked fish, or their bacon is not cooked. It's just a slice of a little bit of meat and mostly fat, about that big right there of pork, and cold peas.
What is borscht, Kevin? Is that
Borscht is beets. Now I love borscht.
is that a Jewish
they
dish?
cook it up? It's Russian, so maybe
Because
Jewish
there's a
Russian.
part of like the
Borscht sounds.
the what are they called, the Poconos over like in New England, where they call it the Borscht Belt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it
it's-
could be,
Yeah.
maybe Russian Jews. I don't know,
Maybe, I
but
don't know.
but they boil it. The beets. Do you like beets? Have you had a lot of
Yeah, I
beets?
like
And
beets actually.
and then they cook it in a way that you can put some sour cream on it,
Mm.
like, and just so good. They have it lunch at the schools. I did a lot of schools around Russia, and for the lunches they'd serve you it's tea and borscht.
It's like a dessert kind of thing, or
no, it's like a main. You get a big bowl of beets, man. It would just because it is good. There's a lot of good vitamins, but it is
Yeah.
kind of high in sugar, so it keeps them motivated. I think that's why they give it to kids in school. But
Interessant.
Russia is now influenced by America in another way. They're
Yeah, are they?
now open for tourists. Those are around Moscow or St. Petersburg
Uh-huh.
and different tourist areas of Russia. Yes, they are renting out their houses or cars to tourists. They're doing the like the B&B kind of thing, bed and
Interesting.
doing their houses. Yes, if you'd like to take a, stay at a B&B or a hostel, really hostel. No, not really. Like I was saying, Russian people are really kind people. They really are nice. They're not Putin-esque at all, But yeah, I saw a thing about how they're renting out their houses to people, and
Interesting.
you know how they do in America. With
Yeah.
you rent a house, you can have a beach house or something, and yeah, and their cars.
Huh.
I didn't know we were renting cars out now, but
Right.
I guess you can do that. If somebody comes to Branson and they need a car, you can put in an
You
ad.
can put it on Craigslist
say
or
they
something.
can
You
use
put,
it.
yeah, you can put anything on
I
Craigslist.
don't think I'd want people to do that.
We
But
got Uber now in Branson.
we do have Uber, and I'm hoping Lyft comes in. I might be a part-time driver.
I
Make
know,
some
right?
extra money. I don't know.
I'd do it. Just taxing on your cars.
Speaking of borscht and food, too, studies show that people work better when their food is healthier. So they're
Oh.
trying to, all of the corporations, that's like a big duh, right? There's a moment of duh,
Right.
but instead of just giving them the slop, the vending machine stuff for most places, now they're trying to incorporate salads, and they're having like Asian foods or some sort of delicate, things that are good for you.
It's interesting, Kevin. There's like a movie with Vince Vaughn, and it's about like they go work at Google and stuff, but any type of movie that you see about some of those Silicon Valley companies,
Yeah.
they always show like where they have playgrounds there for the people. They have
Yeah.
like cafeterias with real nice food and
Nice
stuff.
food, yeah.
And you go there and you think, wow, this is amazing. But it's really so they'll be slaves, really. I mean, it's really so they'll
Well,
stay there
yeah.
all the time.
Well,
you
yeah,
know?
I would
Yeah.
too, because
Yeah.
you got those benefits. You got time of recreation. You have
Right.
the time of good food. So you want to work
Why would you
better.
leave?
Why
Yeah.
would you leave? You work better. It's not
Yeah.
a trick. It's just it's
Well,
smart.
it could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
If we offered some good food here, we'd probably still have some of our employees, If we had a little recreation out there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Justin, sunbathing for Justin.
Some of the worst paid people, I always say, all that just don't get enough, are teachers and farmers. And there's the fight of the male-female thing. That women get paid less than men, and I think that's a reality in a lot of cases. But it's going to have to change. One thing I saw really encouraging is now it's almost 50-50 as far as women going to business schools, and MBA students are now up. Females over 40% to the males. I think that that brings them into the workplace, and they're going to have to be paid as much as men or more. Just because now they're studying business, now they're coming out of the business. I didn't know it was low before. I thought just as many women went as men to business schools or to college and universities to study business, but more business degrees were for men.
Yeah.
And now it's
Okay, let me-
not even
yeah.
60-40, it's almost 50-50 now.
All right. So this is an interesting topic to me, especially about what I've been kind of studying the last couple of days. And we were talking about it a little bit with like remember I was talking about that professor that had to do that wouldn't say the gender pronouns of the transgenders in
yes.
Canada.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
So there's this college in Washington, Evergreen College, and it's a really interesting college. It's like they
Does it have healthy food and recreational?
yeah, it's sort of like that, but it's like the students, they only take one course at a time, and that teacher only has that professor only has 30 students. So that professor intimately gets to know those students. It's a very unique setting, and it's not
Yeah.
for everybody, but the few that get to
It
go
must
there.
take forever. What, 40 years to graduate?
No, I think it's just specialized degrees,
Okay.
but they
I see.
yeah. So and it may be sort of like a graduate thing, like they've gotten their basics out of the way, but Okay, so they're like I said, they're unique. They're obviously up there in Washington. They're like have that liberal thing going on, that crazy West Coast liberal thing. And there's a day where back in like the 50s or the 60s, the black professors on campus wanted to create Absence Day. And their whole deal was that it was a whole thing. This guy wrote a play about the minorities in the town didn't show up for that day, and it caused havoc in the town because the idea of the play was to say, okay, we play a part in society. Okay, it's a nice idea and everything, and one day a year it had become customary for the African Americans in that school to take one day off that was Absence Day to kind of show, we're not here. Okay, so now it's gotten crazy, and there are these, what we're talking about, these radical leftists and these people who are Marxists and who literally want to reverse discrimination on, and they literally want to like reverse 400 years of slavery and discriminate, like basically put it on to other minorities or other like white people, different things. So what
How are they gonna do reverse?
so what they did was, as opposed to having the day of absence, which was a voluntary thing by these people to not show up, they flipped it around and said now white people can't show up on this day. And so this professor who is very cultured, and he is not a racist, and he is somebody who is on the team of equality and the whole thing, that he's like, no, he's also Jewish, so he's like, when people start telling me not to come to some place, I get nervous.
All this does is promote racism.
And it's crazy. So what's happened now is he's been threatened. Like there's mobs. The president of the college, Kevin, was literally held hostage by these protesters. Like they had to go to the bathroom with him. And see, these professors are kowtowing to these, and like these administration, they're kowtowing to this weird it's not even political correct. I don't want to call it that because that's a horrible thing, and that's led to this. But this is just social engineering gone amok. I mean,
even the absent day to start with, to me, was just pointing out, okay, blacks are different. No, why are you doing this?
The whole thing is that we want to live in a society where we're all equal. That's the whole thing.
And so to promote these weird things to try to repair the past, you go forward. You don't look back at the things. The Bible says, forget the things which are behind. It's the only way to survive. It's not to forget them in the fact that we want to repeat them. It's to let them go so you can forget and move on.
Yeah.
And it'll never happen if we keep going back and doing these weird...
and it's a small subset of people. Like even like this is
of course it is.
Like I don't, African Americans I know don't think like this. This is crazy.
They don't.
So it's a small subset that ends up becoming loud, and with Twitter and with sort of the way the media is, how that it's more about the political correctness, and you're seen as if you wear the wrong Halloween costume or something, or your white privilege. It's the craziest. Something is happening, dude, and I don't even understand what. I mean, it's like
just liberalism run amok.
So this guy, they were at one point, the campus police called this professor and said, "Don't go to campus today." They're looking in cars, looking for someone. They thought they were looking for him to kidnap him, or who knows? It's nuts.
This is nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is racial profiling on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
It really is. It's pointing him out. He's Jewish.
Yeah, he's Jewish. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were saying this is they had a seminar because the whole thing is about the idea that white privilege exists even if you don't recognize it or not. So if you express an opinion, you're automatically racist because you're white.
Right.
You're white privilege.
Right.
That's the whole thing.
You've already profiled me.
Right. So they had these people, these protesters during the day that a lot of the other white professors didn't show up, they had a day where they were having conferences and stuff like that. And the theme of one of the conferences was that, you're going to love this, so that the Asian professors on campus are part of the problem. So they literally had a convention a whole day talking about how Asians are part of the problem. This is so racist. It's like not even like hidden racism. It's like the most.
Is there one group that's like promoting this more than others?
What this guy Well,
students?
it is teachers. It's been professors for a long time,
Yeah.
what they've been trying to do for a long time with their political correct nonsense. But he said, from his perspective, and this is not a person who is a person who casts aspersions, on, especially against other. I mean, he's someone who very much is in, would have been the person that would have been marching with Dr. King type of thing like that. But he said that from what he can tell, it's a very small subset within the African American community. Where this vigilance has just really run amok, and it's really
It's the old adage, a couple of bad apples spoils the whole bunch, right?
yeah.
Because that's not.
And then there's
that's not normal.
there's
That's
this
not
liberalism, which is this like they call it this like detractors call it like these beta males who they've been doing it for a long time with feminism. Like they are the one they want to like become subservient to these other minorities in order to show that they're stand strong with them or something. And like so there was the professor said there was a post on like a Facebook thing about this group that said something about some African American student posted, I need a white person to go get me a phone charger or something. And he said like 3 or 4 guys did it and went and gave him a phone charger. It's like, it's crazy, but it's not. I would not tell this story if it wasn't something that was happening on campuses around the country. And especially like in Canada or even like in the Northeast. I mean, this stuff and these kids.
So it's not just this evergreen school.
No. This is just
spreading.
I watch a lot of the stuff on the Joe Rogan podcast.
This is what this politically correct stuff does.
It's
because
so
then it's
crazy.
You don't even know what to say or do anymore.
No.
When you're with certain people. Our average, our friends, we have, Hispanic friends and African American friends. We're all the same. We're all normal.
Yeah.
We don't. So this is
I had a
just like
teacher somewhat
weird,
like this, Kevin.
Really?
Yeah, she told me
In
that.
Branson?
Yeah. She told me that it was racist to say the word Mexican.
Okay.
I said, I've always been pretty analytical about things. I was like,
yeah.
I said, it is racist to call every Hispanic group Mexican. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But that is what is called a demonym. That is a term for a nation.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to Tequila's to get Hispanic food. I don't
no,
think so.
it's an actual
They're
country.
Mexican people.
No,
yes.
that's racist.
They're from Mexico.
Ugh.
Yeah, no. No, they're racist.
It's the what do they call it? The high bigotry of low expectations. Remember that phrase?
No. What is
that was like it was something.
Say that again.
The high bigotry of low expectations. It's like you don't expect
that
group to do something, so it's bigotry to not think they're gonna do something. You know what I'm saying? Like So anyway,
Does anybody want a Prince Ivan CD? Is anybody throwing out a?
Phyllis says her niece works for Facebook in California, and it's one big playground.
Yeah.
Nobody said anything about Prince Ivan yet.
Prince Ivan, that's the new CD. Okay. Trump did tweet today.
Okay.
I don't know. Do you? But he's picked a new FBI director.
Uh-huh.
So and it looks like a good guy. He's
What
been
was his name?
formerly his last name is W-R-A-Y. Right?
Okay.
I think that is. And I think I'm doing it right. But he tweeted it. Instead of making a formal announcement, he tweets, is that what a president does now? I don't know. That just seemed weird to me. But let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum. We even have a song for it. We have our greedy group of the day. And it's really part 2 from yesterday. Here's our greedy group of the day song. All they want is... Their whole life is about... They worship. They don't care who they hurt. So part 2. Yesterday we said that Saudi Arabia and the different countries that support terrorists, they really, some support terrorists, not all support terrorists. But if you don't support the terrorists, you don't believe in terrorism, and you say you want to help other countries, you have all the money in the world to do so. Do it. Take that money and do it. Now, Somalia is one of those crazy countries.
Yeah, that's one of the most dangerous countries in the world.
But Somalia, and I know the Chinese do this as well. A lot of your Chinese families, Vietnamese, Thai, they come over here to America and have the greatest Chinese, Thai restaurants, Chinese restaurants. Indian people do this as well.
Okay.
It's mostly hotels or 7-Elevens. And I mean, just as I've been traveling, I've noticed that. And but what they do is they come over here. The ones that can come over here, or they're sent, one or two are sent over here to raise money, to send money back over to the underprivileged, to either bring them to America eventually, or to just take care of them. And that's been going on in Somalia. Last year, $1.3 billion. Somalians who came to America sent that much money over to their families to help them. Now terrorists are blocking the money for these families to get this money.
Oh,
And
really?
so, because it's all about greed. This group of greedy terrorist Somalians.
Yeah.
Let's see, are they
They're probably
Muslim? Yes.
Yeah, and they're probably pirates too.
Pirates
Yeah.
are taking this. So there's a really, poverty is even more, and they're more impoverished as much as the families from Somalia that are here doing, I read a story of one that owns a grocery store, and they're just trying to take care of family over there, and now it can't get through. And I think that is horrible. We have the greedy groups. You could go on about not only the terrorists, but these regimes that take food that is sent or
Yeah.
money that is sent from our country over to these, and they take it for themselves. Medicine. I would go over to, now this is back in the day when it was more a communist and there was other communist leaders in Russia.
Uh-huh.
I'd go to these countries and try to bring medicine. We'd bring medicine. We'd brought up to the hospitals a few times. We'd have to bring it ourselves and make sure, even if we had to pay off at the border, to get it in so we could help the people. Otherwise, it would go to people that would take the aspirins and all the different medicines that we take over to. And if that's happening with us bringing it in ourselves, think of stuff that is being shipped. And I think that's one of the reasons for so much poverty in the world. That's one large aspect of why we have poverty today. It's not that we don't have food. It's not that we don't have money. It's that there are greedy groups that are stealing from literally out of the hands of children. Ticks me off. So thought I'd share that today, and that's the latest was the Somalian thing.
And they're right on the Horn of Africa, and what we said, there's a lot of piracy that goes on in that country,
A lot
and
of poverty in Africa and India because
yeah.
of this.
But
Africa.
if our navy wasn't as strong as it was and didn't police the waters of the world, I mean, this world would be a lot more chaotic than it.
The pirating,
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Just see that movie made me so nervous. Captain Ron
Oh yeah.
with Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy. Let's come back to the shores of America,
All right.
the greatest country on earth, and let's give a little bit of. We are at President. Did you announce the name of the president already?
Yeah.
So we can't give
Hayes.
away anything. Okay, but he's president number 19. Are we
Yeah.
at 19? Here's number 19, and here is the historical moments with Marshall. Here's our theme song. Thank you, One Direction.
You and me got a whole lot of history. We could be the greatest team that the world has ever seen. You and me got a whole lot of history.
Those boys ain't got nothing on me. I can sing.
Kevin, can I?
Styles, what's his name?
Harry Styles.
Harry.
And the one
And I can even do my hair like that if I needed to.
Kendra loves.
Your girlfriend?
Zayn Malik. I don't think he's with them
No,
anymore. though.
he bailed before
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah.
I think he had drug problems.
Kevin,
We're praying for
hey, I want to say something real quick, which is sort of about boy bands or these kind of. Okay,
No,
so
I don't care
real,
for-
no, real quick.
there is
It's
good
about
music.
Ariana Grande and the whole thing.
Oh.
So they did that benefit concert or whatever,
Praise
and the last
God.
thing that she
Good people.
did was sang "Somewhere Over the Rainbow." Oh, that
Really?
made me cry so hard because
Yeah,
that's my
I'll
favorite
bet she
movie
tore
ever,
that
and she
up.
just did it great. And
Ooh, I bet she did.
anytime that's used to help heal people,
I
it's
saw the Biebs was there, and
Miley Cyrus and all these
Miley Cyrus,
young
but I
famous.
think it was Katy Perry. Was she there?
I think so. Yeah.
That said, touch someone next to you, and just tell them you love them. Like, oh gosh, now I'm about to gag, but I see in the moment, it's
Yeah.
it's a heartfelt moment. I think they raised millions of dollars
That's cool.
for the benefit for these families, which is awesome. That's man, I want to be a part of something like that so much. You know my heart.
Yeah.
Be there to raise money to bring over to help these families. Terrible, horrible things that these terrorists are doing. But we finished up with the Civil War and Lincoln and Grant and Robert E. Lee and
So here's what I did last night, Kevin, because a couple times you asked me like what were some things about the presidential elections. You know, like who do they run against or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm a visual person. I do all my things in papers, and I have folders and stuff. So I went down and wrote down all the presidential elections. I'm not going to go over obviously all of them or even
Right.
a lot of them, but I wanted to mention a few that were interesting, and it kind of leads into Hayes. So,
Okay.
So let's see. There's a lot of times where the person, we know him as a certain party, but they officially ran on a different party. So, in other words, Jackson founded the Democratic Party, but he was still a Democratic Republican technically when he ran against another Democratic Republican, John Quincy Adams. Then John Quincy Adams ran as a National Republican. You get to 1868, or 1848, with Martin Van Buren, who's already been president, received 0 electoral votes running on the free soil ticket. So I don't know much
really?
about that.
Who do you run against?
That would have
That
been
was
when
when-
Zachary Taylor won and
Won.
Lewis Cass was the Democratic nominee.
Okay.
And this is interesting because you always think of Lincoln as the first Republican. In a lot of ways,
Yes.
he really kind of started the party and helped it along, but he wasn't the first to run because the election before, John C. Fremont ran as a Republican, and Millard Fillmore, a future president, ran under the American ticket. In 1860, when Abraham Lincoln ran, we always hear about the Southern Democrats, but the only time there was ever actually a party, other than when Strom Thurmond ran as a Dixiecrat, was the Southern Democrat, John C. Breckinridge. Then Lincoln
John
ran
C.
the next year.
Beauregard Breckinridge.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And
Throw Beauregard in there.
yeah. And in 1864, the next time Lincoln ran, he didn't run as a Republican. He ran as a National Union ticket, which makes sense,
Well, during the
because
war, yeah.
right. And so it goes through. There's one thing. There's only one time that the same two people ran against each other in consecutive terms. That's happened before, but there's only been one time where there was the same result. The guy beat the guy, he ran against him again, and the guy beat him again. In other words, there's been times where, somebody ran against a president, they didn't win,
Yeah.
they ran against again and beat him
And
next
they
time.
win, yeah.
But it was somebody who I actually think would have been a great president. William Jennings Bryan ran twice against William McKinley. And so that was also the first time two people with the same name ran against each other.
Oh, yeah.
And so there are just some really interesting things.
That is interesting.
But one thing that was very fascinating is that Hayes, let's see, where are we at?
That's
here?
where at Rutherford B.
Yes,
You
we're-
find out what the B stands for?
I don't know what the B stands for,
I told
actually.
you to look it up.
I
What the
know.
B?
What the B?
That's the only middle initial I think I don't know
Yeah.
of the other of all the presidents.
So let's see.
B.
Yes. So,
Rutherford B. We got to look it up.
because the reason this one is interesting,
Somebody
Kevin,
Google it.
Yeah, somebody Google that, is because this is the closest electoral vote ever. Now,
Really?
it's interesting because you know how we have 270 to win?
Yeah.
But the way our thing worked out, it literally could be very close. Like it could be like 270 to 269. That's how close is the way, and that you would still get a plurality. So Rutherford B. Hayes had 185 votes,
Wow.
electoral votes. Samuel J. Tilden had 184, 1 vote shy.
Whoa.
And so
What was he running on? So
so
Hayes?
he was
Was Hayes
was
running?
a Republican and Tilden was a Democrat. So basically, what happened was while Grant was a hero and everything, but he didn't, as far as policies, have the most success in his presidency. So the Republican Party was like, we're going to get back to policy orientation. So
Was
Rutherford.
Hayes his vice president?
No, Hayes wasn't vice president, but he was nominated later.
Okay.
So
Tell us about his.
so
life.
Hayes, 1877 to 1881, from Ohio. His I can't read my own writing. William A. Wheeler was his vice president. He used to be the governor of Ohio, and he was a brigadier general in the Union Army. Wounded 5 times and had 4 horses shot out from under him as he rode.
Whoa.
Yeah, so he is very lucky to even be around, be alive,
Yeah.
be president. So he was selected by the Republicans, like I said, because of his demeanor and his decision making. And then we get to the election. Hayes v. Tilden was they called it the last battle of the Civil War, and Hayes actually lost the popular vote, and there were 3 states that were recounts. So, but like major, like they actually didn't know really what
So
happened.
George W. Bush wasn't the first recount.
It wasn't the first recount. So after 4 months of recounts, a special election commission was appointed, and they gave all 3 contested states to Hayes. Now, they called him Rutherford Hayes, or the
Oh,
Great
no.
Usurper,
There you
because it was really, actually, it was curious. How did all 3 states that were contested. You would think maybe 2 of the 3 would have gone
Yeah.
to him or something, but all 3 went to him. And
Well, it could happen. They
well,
just- when they
but
recounted, they
people believe, looking back in history, that there was a bargain struck. And at first, they weren't sure what this bargain was, but it'll play out here in a minute.
in his term.
Yeah, because what happened was, we had talked about this, how there began to be some African Americans be elected. And Mom looked it up. It's Burchard.
What?
Yeah, Rutherford Burchard Hayes.
How do you spell
Birchard. Interesting. Good job, Mom.
Burchard.
Yeah, Burchard.
There you go. Thanks, Mom.
Yes. So,
Send Mom a prize. We'll give her a
Yeah,
prize.
okay.
Hey, she gets a Miltilla CD.
All right. Cookbook.
Just kidding.
So what happened was, we talked about how African Americans started getting elected in the South, but we talked about the KKK and the radical Democrats down there who were keeping them out, and they would literally send troops to occupy state houses so that Democrats couldn't be elected.
Okay.
So
Huh.
Louisiana and South Carolina were the last 2 that still had Democrats because they had federal troops
I
protecting
believe
them,
that
essentially.
with all my heart. Those
Yeah.
2 states.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Mississippi ain't on the list, but
Right. And so what happened was, Hayes decided to pull out the federal troops from these 2 state houses, allowing the Democrat South to basically rule.
so this could have been the deal behind the scenes.
This is probably what the deal was, is that he decided to pull out, which, ended up, so basically, we talked about a lot of times, a lot of these presidents, they, like, especially Johnson, were saying, basically ending Reconstruction on a symbolic basis. Well, this was the absolute last blow to Reconstruction. We wouldn't get back to it for 40 years until we started
Wow.
making Supreme Court decisions that
But it
helped.
does seem fair that if that's the population, is the Democrats.
But it
those
wasn't,
guys-
because they were rightfully elected. These African American Republicans were rightfully elected, and
Oh.
these Democrats would literally, they would occupy it, so they couldn't take their rightful place in the state house. Yeah.
Oh.
So because obviously African Americans had the right to rule, but these radical Democrats, they just didn't even
Right.
they didn't even take that into consideration. So one thing that was interesting around this time, and we'll get into this in a few presidents, is that civil service reform was kind of the big deal, and it was about reforming the corruption that took place in government jobs that were, like the Port Authority of the New York, happened, crooked, all this different stuff. So Conkling was kind of the party boss in New York, and he would put a lot of the people in there. And so Rutherford B. Hayes did civil service reform, and he ended up removing a very corrupt head of the Port Authority named Chester Arthur.
Oh, that
only
deal.
Yes, only 2 presidents later
Got
would Chester
removed.
Arthur
Oh, gosh.
become president after
Yeah.
he was just,
He
and
cried and said it was unfair, probably. and
Right,
people
right.
Believed him. But
And we actually just saw recently corruption in the New York Port Authority with the whole Bridgegate scandal in New Jersey.
yes.
They shut down lanes of the bridge, and different stuff like that
Port
too.
Authority, Yes.
Yeah, so this is our
Then
Port
passed the
Authority is
buck
already.
to Chris Christie, right? That's that deal.
Well, it was his administration. He
Yeah.
never got charged with it, but
No.
it was his people.
They blamed him, but
There's 3 of them
they
that are in
did it.
jail,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So they should be.
Yeah. So Hayes didn't seek a second term. That was just a promise that he made not to do that. It's a few presidents had done
Probably
that.
part of the deal.
Could have been part of the deal too. Yeah. Who knows?
Because his vice president then didn't become president,
No.
and in comes Garfield, right?
Yep. Garfield. Yep.
Yeah. So. Wow.
And but this is an interesting part, because you asked me a lot about what did this guy do after his life or
Yeah.
after his presidency. Well, there wasn't presidents set precedencies,
There you
so
go.
right.
Yes.
So because if one does something, then the next one will do something generally. So after Hayes left office, he worked tirelessly for the rest of his life on 2 things: education reform and civil rights for African Americans. And what this did was set the stage for future presidents to have post-presidencies. Some of them have, organizations that they do things from. Jimmy Carter builds houses for
I
homeless
know.
people.
Habitat for Humanity.
Yeah, there's a few different things, that presidents do. And then one more final thing that was really interesting about Rutherford B. Hayes is that he noticed that there were a few holes namely 3 holes in the gaps of the White House portrait collection. So him and his wife commissioned a Jefferson, an Adams, and a Jackson. So I thought that was really interesting because we always hear about, Dolly Madison saving the
Save
portrait of Washington, but didn't know that there were holes in the actual portrait gallery
portraits.
itself. Yeah.
So he had them fixed.
Well, he had them commissioned. I said there wasn't one. Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So not holes.
There
in it, but
wasn't
the-
holes.
Right.
There
Right.
was-
There was a
okay.
hole in the collection essentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a
Right.
gap. Yeah, you said it right. I
Right.
just took it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
and
so interesting.
another Ohioan. It's interesting how so many of our presidents came from Ohio.
Yeah.
You can go all over that state and find these
There's
houses.
now with Trump getting elected, New York is now up there. I think New York's got like 6 now.
Really?
So yeah, New York's getting up there, and so yeah,
He's up there with all the good ones. Martin Van Buren
and Buren, New
Yeah,
York.
I'm just being facetious. They're not good. But they were okay. They were our presidents. We honor them.
That's
So that's Rutherford B. Hayes.
Don't
Keep
say
that
Hayes.
list of the president, vice president
Oh, yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's interesting to me. And Garfield, he comes out of left field.
Yes, Garfield.
Right? 'Cause all
and
of a
definitely
sudden-
Arthur. Arthur was his vice
Well,
president.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
it. Yeah, he
so,
was,
So
yeah.
that, but you got. Did Garfield even run against Hayes in the first? No, you said somebody else.
No, it was Garfield versus Winfield Scott Hancock.
Hancock, who was
Yes.
a Democrat.
Yes.
Yeah. So, wow. And Grant must have had some sort of blessing on Hayes being the Republican hand down. That must have been part of
Yeah,
that.
but Grant just wasn't. He wasn't as
He wasn't a
popular as a
political.
president as we thought he would be. He was a great figure.
Well, he was
and
accused
stuff,
for
but-
drinking and smoking and cussing and. I don't know,
Yeah,
lots
it
of
was just a
cussing.
tough time. In a lot of ways, Johnson had defined that the presidency would be weaker than it was. Most presidents, make the presidency stronger. But after Johnson and after some of the things that happened with him, with the exception of Lincoln, the presidency had kind of become weaker up until, let's see, probably.
McKinley.
Yeah,
Roosevelt,
maybe
for sure.
Theodore
Theodore.
Roosevelt. Yeah, was probably the one that really kind of got the presidency back to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not like nothing happened. I mean,
No,
there
there's
was-
definitely some stuff that did happen. So.
Was there anybody in this time that's like pushing Reconstruction? Was there any kind of the unionists that were working on the sidelines? Because it seemed like
I'm sure there
the
were still.
president's not doing stuff.
No,
like, they're doing weird stuff like this. The place, the country could fall apart. So
Right.
How
No,
do
I
we stay
bet.
together?
I bet like Thaddeus Stevens, some of those radical Republicans we've learned about in Lincoln's time, they were still probably around. I mean, this is only 20 some odd year, or at least people who
Yeah.
were in the same, thoughts of them. In fact, there were. There's some people, writing down the parties and stuff. There were a few that were like Grant, 1872, ran against. He was a Republican. He ran against Horace Greeley, whose party was liberal Republican.
yeah.
And so what that means,
Horace Greeley was
what the
the-
term liberal means is just change, essentially. Conservative means sort of stay the same, and just in a very broad definition of those words. And liberal means change. Or when you say radical Republican, that means somebody who was very much for change, sort of the evolution of the political climate. And so when you say liberal Republican, that to me speaks of someone who really much was very, very for African American rights, even more strongly.
Horace Greeley might have been a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a newspaper man. Who's
Okay.
named after a city named after him in Colorado, Greeley, Colorado. I used to live
Gotcha.
there as a kid.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, when you come against any kind of opposition in life, man, sometimes you just don't know what to do, and things come at you, and they will. If anybody tells you just because you become a Christian you'll never have any problems, well, they'll probably can sell you swampland in Florida too, because the truth of it is that we will face opposition, but what do we do in the face of opposition? Well, one hero of mine, they say he was a short man because his name was Nehemiah. Yeah, Nehemiah. Yeah, it's an old joke, but no, Nehemiah is a great hero of this because he saw that there was a gap, the literal hole,
Yes.
in a wall. Oh, he was building a wall.
Oh.
There's a hole. Never mind, I'm not going there. But want to build a wall. Anyway,
Huge.
so huge. There was huge stones destroyed. He wanted to rebuild the wall around Jerusalem, and he felt there was a mandate from God to do so. And so to rebuild the wall, he had all the finances, he had all the workers, and it just went so smooth. No, Here's a project. Whenever you're really going to do something that God told you, you're going to have folks that will tell you it's not from God. They're going to tell you you don't have enough money. You don't have enough workers. You're not going to do what you're supposed to do. It's not going to work out. You're crazy. Don't you see what, live in the real world? Well, the real world is not the whole world. The whole world is not just the real, what you see. Because if God tells you to do something, that's the unseen, and that's called faith. Nehemiah stepped out in faith. In chapter 4, he says, let's build the wall. An entire wall was joined together up to half its height, for the people had a mind to work. And all of a sudden, people are catching this vision. And if people catch a vision, nothing's impossible. Now, it says, but it happened that a man by the name of Sanballat and another man by the name of Tobiah and the Saudi Arabians,
Yes.
greedy group, the Ammonites and the Ashdodites, heard that the walls of Jerusalem were being restored and the gaps were beginning to close, and they became angry. And they conspired together to come and attack Jerusalem and create confusion. The enemy always comes to create confusion. If there's confusion, you know it comes from the enemy. If there's a conviction or a drawing, you know that comes from the Holy Spirit, and you follow that. But a confusion only comes from the enemy. Nevertheless, we made our prayers to our God, and because of them, we set a watch against the enemy day and night. So when opposition comes, number one, pray. You've got to pray. I've got 5 points and then I'm done. But pray. And when you pray, not only speak, but listen, and God will give you a strategy. So pray. And the Bible, that's why the Bible says watch and pray. That means you pray and then you watch and you wait to hear for instruction, or George W. Bush says for strategery. And so then Judah said, the strength of the labor is failing. There's so much rubbish. We're not able to build the wall. Now everybody's having doubts because the enemy's come. Number one, first of all, before I say pray and strategize, when facing opposition, number one, always know that no matter what you decide to do for God, there is always going to be a battle. And in that battle, you may win some of the skirmishes, but you're going to win the war if you're on the side of the Lord. Because the Lord's side is the right side. If God is for us, who can be against us? So number one, know there's always going to be a battle. So you should almost expect it. Not ask for it, but almost expect it. And then secondly, stay connected to God in prayer and listen to what he has to say. Don't just do all the talking, and he'll give you a strategy. So then Nehemiah got a strategy. He says, and it happened when our enemies heard that what was known to us, that God brought their plot to nothing, and all of us returned to the wall, and everyone to his work. As a lot of times, fear is the way the enemy intimidates us to not do anything. The fear of the unknown. Some people just don't act at all because they're fearful. 9 times out of 10, the thing you fear the most is never going to happen. So go for what God has told you. So they got together, and it was from that time on that half of the servants then, this was the other strategy, he says, okay, you servants of the Lord that really feel this is real, we're going to take care of the enemy. Because the enemy said they were going to actually come and try to kill him or try to destroy him. He said half of them, so he set half of them at the construction of the wall, while the other half stood by the wall with spears and shields and bows and arrows and wore armor. And they were leaders all of them got behind the house of Judah. And so number one, know there's going to be a battle. Number two, pray and receive word from the Lord what to do. Number three, get support. Don't just fight this fight alone. Be accountable to people. Ask people to pray with you. Get your family of friends together. That's what our family of friends are. I'll talk about in a minute. Get support. You're not alone in this battle. Get people to fight with you. And then make the necessary changes as God tells you, even if it hurts, even if it's, so they would take turns. And they would take turns. So half the people would do construction, half the people would stand up with a so half of them had a hammer and the other had a sword. And then they'd switch places, and then they would hammer, and then they would fight, or if they had to. And they never did have to fight. They built the wall, and they said, the work is great and extensive. We've been separated, but we're all building together. We hear the sound of the trumpet to rally us. God will fight for us. He will fight if you will go out there and do it. Number one, know there's always going to be a battle. Number two, pray and get God in the middle of your situation, and he will fight the battle. He'll even give you a strategy. Get support and accountability with others. Prayer support is the greatest support that you have as people are praying together. Make the necessary changes that God gives you, even if it hurts. And last last but not least, never, 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 never quit. Keep going. Even if you don't see immediate results, keep going. Go forward. If you believe God has told you, you get a confirmation from the Word of God and other brothers and sisters in the Lord. Make the changes you need to do what needs to be done. Because Nehemiah would say, he could say, well, God told us we're going to build the wall, and so we've been building it, but now we've got people shooting at us. So I guess we better stop because it doesn't look like. No, if God told you to build the wall, then listen to what God tells you to do to actually get it done. Because the first instruction is not necessarily the final instruction. What you hear from God first is the beginning, and He'll give you a strategy each step of the way. It's just how life and life as a Christian works. Because then it shows not independence, but totally dependence on God. And so we pledge our allegiance to God in every way, shape, and form, just as Nehemiah did. And we're going to go forward in this ministry, and I want you to help us. But go forward in what God has told you to do as well. We're going forward. We'll not only do these programs, but we go out on the road as well. This weekend we'll be in Springfield, Missouri, at Glad Tidings Assembly, a church, great church that's just started. They just got a new pastor, and the new pastor has only been there a year or so, and so they're just really building up. So we're going to rally behind them and help them that we feel God has done. If that's in the Ozarks, come and see us there. Next weekend, Father's Day weekend, we're going to be in Atmore, Alabama. So if you're down south, Mississippi, Alabama, northern Florida, you're all in that area, come on out. I don't know if there's anybody down that area that watches on a regular basis. They're either on either coast or somewhere in the middle. But if you're out in that area, or if you know somebody out in that area that needs Jesus or goes to church but wants to do something different for Father's Day, come on out to Cross Point Baptist Church in Atmore, Alabama, June 18th. I think my wife will be with me. That's going to be fun. This weekend, it looks like we'll not only be there at Glad Tidings, we're going to be streaming live. So make sure you turn us on Facebook Live and all those things. We'll be there live. We'll edit and use the sermon, as far as on the Kevin Shorey Show. But you can watch it live as it happens, the whole music and everything. Go to church with us this Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Central Time at Glad Tidings Assembly. But we're going forward, and as you help us, like I said, I believe in helping and doing support, not being a lone ranger. People speak into my life and tell me and give me direction through the work of the Lord. And then I have my family of friends. And I want to give you one of the CDs of anybody that's been on our show. We'll put it in there and send it to you. Even a Prince Ivan CD, even if somebody wants one. But we'll put it all in there. There's James Payne, Sacred Fire Ministries. There's Baloo Trio. All these different CDs will be in there. That's our monthly gift. Everybody gets a gift every month. If you sign up for $34 a month as our family of friends, this month's June gift is a CD and the print We Remember. And this is in honor of our country. We remember our soldiers. We remember 9/11. And we remember that this flag stands for freedom, for sure. On the Kevin Shorey Show, it will air a week from today, which is actually Flag Day. So I'm going to dress up as a flag today. Just wait till you see my red, white, and blue. That's worth seeing at 2 o'clock, along with the Rally to the Cross representatives. Greg Quinn and J.R. Taylor will be here. And then Heaven's Heart Trio is going to sing. So one other thing, too, this is so underrated. A lot of people know, and they've caught on, and they get this on a regular basis. But you should always have stocked in your shelf the sacred silver, either the liquid, but the sacred structured silver gel for burns and cuts. This is a healer, a natural healer. Nothing but pure silver in here. It won't turn you blue. It won't make you sick. It won't interfere with any of your medications. This is a wonderful healer that God has made, and it's pure, and it's infused with sacred music, so it just comes alive and does what it's, and it's structured so that it's not acidic in any way. It doesn't have any side effects. It's structured so it's not only that it's alkaline and good for you, but it absorbs in the body quicker and stays in there. They say this can act within 8 seconds of being applied onto your skin. So try this. This is good for your gums as well as it promotes healing. This is good for using as a deodorant because it kills all bacteria, viruses, and mold. And this is a silver gel. Find out about it. Call us at 844-47-KEVIN. That's 844-47-KEVIN. Or you can write us, and this is just a bottle of this is worth so much more than what we're offering, but it is $30 or 3 for $75. That is amazing. So get your silver gel today. Write us at P.O. Box 1122. That's P.O. Box 1122, 1122, Branson, Missouri 65615. 65615. We need to hear from you. And we should give your mom something. You know. She said the Burchard. How about some Sacred Silver Gel? You think
right,
she'd
cool.
like some
She
gel?
might, yeah.
It's good for your skin. It's good to promote sunburns. A lot of this summer, you're going to have sunburns. This heals the skin a lot quicker than you. Now, I know aloe is pretty good, but this stuff right here heals a lot quicker. I knew a man who had a kitchen burn. He had grease fire burn this arm, so you could almost see the bone. I mean, it was down. That fire was bad. They told him it would be 3 to 6 months for healing. Within just a month and a half or less, I think it was 6 weeks, it had already been so far healed, more than they've ever seen before. The doctors were amazed and said, "Where do you get the stuff?" So this is the Sacred Silver Gel. And last but not least, it's the T-shirt. You ready to read it?
Sure.
And we got time still? All right. This is our Pledge Allegiance to the Cross. Now, we have a T-shirt of the week. I wear it during the week. Normally, I don't wear T-shirts on a program, but I thought I show you our witness wear. This is one of my favorites. They all are just, I love everything that Sun Tees does, and my buddy Sandy Shapiro. This is, you've heard of the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. This is the Pledge of Allegiance to the cross. And this is good for today. I'm going to tell our Rally to the Cross guys today about this shirt.
yeah.
But this,
1 Corinthians 1:18.
there you go. Get your T-shirt today. Help us if you can. Pray for us for sure. And we will see you with a sunshiny day again tomorrow on AM Kevin.